Hey guys, we're making another video, and today we're going to be playing Ukraine in Universal Remastered. Now, to get it, you have to either explode Lithuania or declare war on Lithuania as another player, and once you win, you give it independence. But I went for a much more easier route of being Lithuania and just exploding it on purpose. Now to do this, I did some shenanigans, tried to drag out some wars, surrendered in wars, lower down religion with tolerance. But after a long time, I was able to finally release the countries. First there was rebels, and then gave them independence. Once I de-abdicated from the Lithuanian throne, I immediately picked Ukraine. Well, it's called differently in this game, but I'm gonna call it Ukraine for you guys. Once I picked Ukraine, I try to ally with many Orthodox nations as I can, to the Byzantines to soon to be Romania. But to form my great Ukraine, first I had to do a quick rival war to get some political power. Once I got my political power, I was able to use it to make a great Ukraine. The first attempt did not go so well, let's just say that.
Okay, come on. Oh, yes! 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 Come on!
Oh, good. Why, that's very good. Yes, I like that.
Around this time, I sent a Russian alliance. Surprisingly enough, he accepted it.
Are you serious?
So far, my land conquest was doing pretty good, until I went up against Poland for one claim, and they had too many troops, so I had to ask Hungary for help. Once we was finished with Poland, I was going to collect more land out of Lithuania. Once I invaded Lithuania, my next target was the Horde. Once discussing it with the Russians, I was able to get around 2 pieces of land off the Horde, and the Russians would get the rest. Once we did all of that, for the previous 20 years in game, nothing really happened, and I got so bored, I kind of allied what country who was out of war at the time so I could help them out, because I had a bunch of manpower which I wanted to use. So I allied myself with the Dutch and decided to help him out with the English.
Let's do this!
I'm gonna kill you!
Victory.
I decided to do a D-Day on Britain because at this point I didn't want to be stuck on land until the Dutch was able to bring out the Navy. Plus the British did not bring out the Navy, so I did a D-Day landing. Couple of years later, we won the war. Now you might be thinking, but what did you gain out of this war? First of all, I could use my army. Second of all, I asked the Netherlands if I could have all of Canada for a payment for helping him out in that war, which he accepted. So now I had a colonial empire. Well, in Canada, but still pretty rare to see Ukraine colonizing in this game. The Dutch was warred on by my previous allies, and at this point, me and the Dutch had a really close alliance, so I did not let that slide, so I joined. But Russia was able to help out, so it was me, Russia, the Dutch, and the other allies. At first, the enemy was winning because they had insane manpower, but because there was focus on us, the Prussians was not really having a fun time because the Dutch had a little bit more manpower, so they had to bring some troops over. Plus, the Austrians pushed in a bit too early. Russia still had a lot more manpower, and with my manpower and his manpower, we was able to push back his Austrian army. And I was able to get some mercenaries too. It was also one of their biggest mistakes, because with the Austrian army retreating back, we was able to push back the Byzantines with the Hungarians. And I was able to push down my troops all the way to nearly the capital city of the Byzantines, but still was able to inflict some damage on their soldiers. Sadly, the biggest mistake in this war was pushing all the way to nearly Budapest and Vienna. Launching an attack with the Austrians, we stood no chance and we had to back off back to Ukraine. And what was worse, the Dutch had to deal with the Hungarians, now push all the way to the Prussian territories to help out the allied Prussia. And after another failed attack on the Austrians and the Byzantines, it was not looking good. It was looking like World War I all over again, and with no hope in sight, this was going to look like, sadly, a failed war. But the Dutch looked like it was doing pretty good against the Prussians and the Hungarians. It would have taken a miracle to win this war, and that miracle came.
The world, my final message, goodbye.
With the Byzantine player now gone, their new command was to push up to a star fort, which with the rest of the Byzantine army now getting annihilated, now we was able to push up, get my territory back because all of my territory was now occupied, and we was able to push into Hungary and Austria and Prussia, and we could white peace the Byzantines. But instead, they decided to white peace Hungary, which, you know, not a bad option. And now, with the real power of Europe, with the Netherlands, the Russians, and the Ukrainians were working together as one of the biggest powers in all of Europe, Austria, Hungary, and Prussia can't really stop us. And with my colonial empire being absolutely ginormous in America, I thought of dev in there too. If you don't know what dev is, it's basically like buildings and all that. If my land gets burned again, all of my good stuff will be in Canada. And now with the Byzantines now absolutely destroyed because of their own rebels, I don't know how they got it in the first place, but anyways, I was making a wall defense too, so the war won't end up like the last war and lead to us winning much more quickly. But that never happened. Anyways, I'm gonna end the video off here. So if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe and notification bell if you want to see more, and I'll see all of you guys later. Have a nice day guys, see ya, bye bye.